Bison versus Northern Iowa. Kickoff Saturday at 1 on KVOY.
This is the scene at the Fargo Dome earlier this morning. Bison Nation showing up in big numbers to represent for this morning's ESPN Sports Center on the road. Live from the Fargo Dome. This morning, ESPN dubbed the Bison as the kings of college football, and rightfully so, with 4 straight national titles. Obviously a great way to kick off the 95th annual homecoming game today. And of course, the Missouri Valley Conference rivalry matchup against number 10 ranked University of Northern Iowa. Good afternoon and welcome to the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show. I'm your host, Chris Berg, along with my man, co-host Alex Egan. Also coming up in just a few moments, our analyst, DJ Coulter, and of course, our team at the Fargo Dome, Beth Hool, Brian Sean, and Lee Timmerman. Of course, a huge redemption game today for homecoming. UNI handed NDSU its only loss last year. Not just a loss, UNI handled the Bison. But first, Alex, I got to get your thoughts. The ESPN coverage was phenomenal today.
Yeah, and it's not the first time ESPN and NDSU have met up. Obviously, game day with them last year, being here the past 2 years. But, I mean, this is why. The Bison are winning, and they're playing great football right now. They handled SDSU last week, 28-7 win, and they dominated in all phases of the game. On the offense, they were sharp. On the defense, they were spectacular. And then on special teams, they were okay.
I got to get something in here. -4 yards rushing against S. I don't care if you're in midget league football. That's an impressive stat.
Yeah, and it was an impressive stat. If we can go back and take a look at the schedule one more time, you saw the hiccup that was the Montana game. And I think we can all agree that it was a hiccup. You know, a 38-35 loss on the road to Montana, not the end of the world. Like we said after the first week, national championships aren't won and lost in week 1, but then you come back and dominate Weber State, North Dakota, South Dakota State, and it's not just winning those games, but it is domination, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on, just how good the Bison have been these last 3 wins that they have had.
I think that Montana game was almost a blessing in disguise, because over the last 9 quarters of football, the Bison defense, again, have given up minus, I can't believe I'm saying this at the Division I football level, -4 yards rushing. Now let's talk briefly, though, about last year's game. If you look at the stats, UNI dominated. I mean, Zach Johnson, he had over 140 yards rushing. Johnny Crockett ended up with 46.
Well, yeah, and I think what a lot of Bison fans will remember, Carson Wentz was hurt in this game. He was playing on a bum ankle this entire game, and it just did not work out for the Bison as they, go into Cedar Falls there, and they come away with the loss. Their first loss since 2012. It was a tough game for Bison fans, but hey, it's not about how you start. It's not about how you play in the middle. It's how you finish. And I think with the loss, NDSU will take that loss every time if it means a national championship at the end of the year.
Great point. Although it did snap a 33-game winning streak for NDSU. You're going to hear later on in the show from some guys that talk about, look, this is a redemption week for us. I guarantee you Carson Wentz, he didn't sleep much this week because he's been watching so much game film to go out there and really, because UNI's got some good DBs.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to lose to these guys again. He was the starting quarterback when the streak was snapped. He does not want to be the starting quarterback when the home streak, if and when the home streak gets snapped, 25 games straight at the Fargo Dome for the NDSU Bison.
Speaking about the Fargo Dome, let's take you out there. Obviously, again, where ESPN Sports Center on the road was this morning. Right now, we've got Mike Morkin with our Northland Ford Dealers tailgate report. Mike?
Good. All right, thanks, guys. Lots of activities going on over here in the tailgate section, and I'm learning something today. It's called the game of Hammerschlag.
Yeah, that's correct, Hammerschlagen.
Okay, and your name's Josh?
I'm Josh.
Can you explain what we're going to be doing here?
Okay, you take a mallet,
Yep.
but you take the thin end.
Oh, the thin end, okay.
The thin end, and you go 1 for 1, hitting the nail into the log, and it's got to be completely flush to win.
There's usually either some monetary compensation associated with it, or there's some libations associated with it.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay,
usually.
So we gotta go. Okay, so let's try this. Okay, and this is Chris. So Chris, you and me. Okay, ready? Okay, on your mark.
One at a time. Just he hits first, then he comes back.
Oh well, let's do it at the same time because the show's only an hour long. Okay. All right. So ready? Go.
You got it.
How do you think that, huh? How do you like that, huh? Now, did I do okay?
You did all right, but you used the wrong side of the hammer.
No, it's my rule. It's my interview, my rule. Thanks so much, Chris. Thanks so much, Josh. Everybody, go Bison! Yeah! Back to you guys.
Mike Morkin, victorious in Hammerschlagen. Let's see, tailgating, hammer, noggin. There's probably a lot of that going on out there today.
I love that he just made up the rules as he went along. Throw the rule book out for Mike Morkin. That's the rules. You throw the rule book out for Mike Morkin.
All right, stay with us throughout the entire hour of the show. We're going to obviously walk you up to game by. But coming up, we've been talking about the dominance of the Bison defense. Beth Hool's got a phenomenal package about defensive end coach Jamar Cain. Many people say Kyle Emanuel, he's the reason why Kyle Emanuel is in the NFL. Also, he's got a great package. My man Alex about Zach Fra outside of football. And, of course, Coach Kleiman coming up right after this. We'll get his final thoughts before the NDSU Bison football team take the field. Stay with us. Much more coming up on the Farmers Union Insurance Bison football pregame show. Welcome back to the Farmers Union Insurance Bison football pregame show. I'm Chris Berg, now along with our analyst DJ Coulter. And before we take you inside to today's film room, let's go out to the Fargo Dome with our very own Beth Hool. She's standing by with a guy who's watched plenty of film in his day, NDSU Bison head football coach Chris Kleiman. Beth?
Hey guys, joined by Coach Kleiman now. Coach, you've talked on and on about getting into a routine. Did you guys find that routine this week finally?
Yeah, we sure did. We better have found it because this is what we're going to do for the next 7 weeks. But no, normal practice schedule, normal meeting schedule, and just try to go and prepare and get ready to play today at 1 o'clock.
Nicks and bruises are always a part of the game. You guys have a couple when it comes to the running backs and the receiving core. How important is this game for someone like King Frazier to step up and have a game?
Well, I'm excited for King. He's going to get a great opportunity today, and hopefully he can carry the load, and we'll spell him with some other guys. But make no question, we've got to be able to run the football. We have to be able to run it for us to be successful today.
Thanks so much, Coach. Have a good game.
Thanks,
guys.
Beth.
Thank you very much, Beth. Great job as always. Now we want to take you inside the film room and kind of catch you up on the Bison defense where DJ Coulter obviously lived most of his life. Let's go inside the film room. All right, today in the film room, we're going to take a look at what makes the Bison defense really so dominant this season and, of course, the progress they've made in these first 4 games. Right now, if you're not aware of this, the Bison defense, #1 in the country when it comes to third down defense, also #1 in the nation against the rush. I want to take a look at some of these numbers here that just really jump off the map. Montana, obviously somewhat of an anomaly there, but you can see 1 for 13, 2 for 13. That is tough, obviously, for any offense and to end up winning some games for you. Third down rush defense is the thing that really jumps out to me, though, here. Over the last 9 quarters, DJ, and again, I don't care if you're playing midget football or Division I football, the opponents have -4 yards rushing against this defense in the last 9 quarters. Of course, last week against SDSU, just a dominant game. Now let's get into the film piece of the film room. DJ, you lived in the trenches. What I'd love to have you share with us here is sort of why the defense now is dominating so much.
Yeah, this is my home, and the 4D linemen have been playing fantastic the last few weeks. Let's break this down. As you can see, as this play starts out, you got the tight end shifting over the top. And so the 2 inside D tackles switch up to get on a strong side. And then as we stop it here, so we got everyone lined up. Everyone's getting off the ball. We got our shoulders square to the line of scrimmage. And as they roll it here, you can see Tangway get a great rip. Right back there, you see Tangway. He just rips across here on an inside move. You got the 2 D ends, the other D tackle, engaging into their guy. You see great D linemen are usually working a quarter of an offensive lineman. They don't want to work all the shoulder pad. They want to just work one shoulder. And when you can work one shoulder, that gives you freedom to see what's going on with the play and be able to get off your man and make the play. As you can see, this play finishes out. All 4 D linemen are at the ball. And that's what you want. When you play great team defense in that Tampa 2, you want all your defense. But when you can get all 4 D linemen to a play, that's the kind of numbers you're going to put up week in and week out.
Code Green is in full effect, of course. Speaking about Code Green and the impact that the defensive line is having, coming up later in the show, great piece from Beth Hool. She's going to sit down with Jamar Cain, the defensive end coach. Many people say, hey, this is the guy that put Kyle Emanuel inside the NFL. Also, Zach Vra, what does he do off the field? We're going to talk about that right after this. Stay with us. Much more coming up right here on the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football Pregame Show. Welcome back to the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football Pregame Show. Well, Zach Vra has become a household name among Bison fans, not just because it feels like he's been playing at NDSU now for quite some time, but because he's also made some very memorable plays in his career.
Yeah, and while he does make plays on the field, it's what he does off the field that might surprise you. He's an artist, and I had the opportunity to visit him in the studio to see his work.
It's a good getaway from football after being around a team all day. This is where I'm kind of more of an introvert, come out here by myself, and there'll be other people painting in here every once in a while, but this is where I kind of get away from the team aspect, just do my own thing, hang out, relax.
When Zach Vra isn't catching touchdowns and making moves on the football field, he's making brush strokes on canvas. Zach already has his degree in sports management, but his passion is painting.
It's something you don't see very much. I mean, a lot of people can draw, just pick up a pencil and paper, but painting is a lot of supplies. You can mess around with color, size, and you know, it's a lot different. You can really get your hands dirty with working with paint, so that's what I really like about it.
Zach has been painting for a while now and is pursuing a minor in art while finishing out his eligibility with the Bison football team. And his work off the field catches even the closest of friends off guard.
I guess I didn't really realize it until probably this last year when we started living together. I realized when we were moving, I helped him move his big mural painting that was huge, and I was like, what's this? He's like, yeah, I paint, and I was really surprised.
They kind of chuckle about it, call me a nerd sometimes, but you know, they've learned that this is kind of what I do, so they're used to it now.
To see his work was really surprising to see how good it was, but then again, it is Zach, and he's pretty good at just about everything he does.
Football, in a way, is a sense of art. Coaches and players are constantly drawing up plays, and when you finish a workout or a game, the sense of accomplishment is the same when finishing a painting.
Well, a lot about painting, I just learned to relax, let loose. When situations are tough in games, I just learned to, you know, mellow down at times, just kind of relax, do how my gut feels, and that's kind of what I do in here. Sometimes when I'm painting, just let loose, draw what I see in my mind. So things, now that I think of it, do correlate over a little bit.
For the Bison Football Show, I'm Alex Egan. He really is talented. It was cool to see his work. And don't forget, you can catch more stories like this on the Bison Football Show with head coach Chris Kleiman. The show airs Sunday morning at 10:30 on KX4 and the NBC North Dakota Network. And then again after Valley News Live, 10 at 10 on KVLY Sunday evening. Don't go anywhere. We still have plenty of show to come in the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show. When we come back, we're going to take a look at today's opponent, the Northern Iowa Panthers. Stay with us.
Mine right away is the feeling after that game, you know, seeing them storm the field and just that real uncomfortable, upsetting, just bad taste in your mouth.
I mean, Grant Olson always said, it, to me, is like never lose the same team twice while you're here. So, I mean, hopefully, you know, I can do that while in my career here. And, I mean, they're a great team, though. Just the history of coming in here.
Welcome back inside the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show. You heard Carson Wentz and Nate Tangway talking about last year's game. It was the lone loss on the season for the Bison in 2014. We're going to take a look at today's game and show you just how these teams stack up by the numbers. First, we'll take a look at NDSU and some of their numbers. Well, they're impressive. They're outscoring opponents nearly by double. Rushing, they have a sizable advantage. 212 yards a game is what they're averaging. Opponents just 40 yards a game. The passing game is dominating as well. And the time of possession, well, that time of possession number is big. Anytime you can have your offense on the field more than the defense, odds are you're probably going to come out on top. Now, if we take a look at Northern Iowa's numbers, and they have a 2-2 record, and here's why. You can see they're being outscored just slightly. Rushing, pretty similar to their opponents. The passing game is where they seem to have the most problems. They are giving up a ton of yards, averaging through the air, and that time of possession about equal there. So you can see by the numbers, you can tell why NDSU is 3-1 and why Northern Iowa is 2-2. For an added perspective today on the Panthers, let's go back out to the Dome with Beth Houle. She is joined by the voice of the Panthers, Gary Rima.
Hey guys, thanks so much. Joined by the voice of the UNI Panthers. I think the first thing you have to talk about when you look at UNI is the tough schedule that they've had, and now their second game already in the Missouri Valley. Start with Illinois State, now NDSU. How tough is this, and how much of a tough schedule has it taken on them?
It's been one of the toughest schedules that I've seen us play in a long, long time. My 22nd year doing the games, and when you first looked at it, you thought, well, maybe you can go beat Iowa State. The Bison did that a year ago, but Iowa State's much improved. Then we host an Eastern Washington team that has won the Big Sky Conference 3 years in a row, played great against them. Cal Poly has a good football team, and we made that trip out there, beat them. But then you got to open up at Illinois State, at North Dakota State, back-to-back games, 2 teams in the national title game. That's about as tough as it can get. And when you look farther down the schedule, it's Western Illinois next week. I think they're playing great. We got to go to South Dakota State. This schedule is as tough, at least when you look at the first 5, as I can remember us playing, even back to the year when we played 2 Big Ten teams at Wisconsin and at Iowa. When you look at the first 5, Beth.
When you look at this team right now, new offense, a new coordinator, a new quarterback coming in, they're splitting that quarterback time. That can be tough. Is that tough for these guys? Is that maybe some of the struggle you think you're seeing early on?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt right now it's the offense that's looking for its identity. It's the offense that's struggling the most right now. I think defensively we're a really good football team. We showed that last week at Illinois State, held them to 56 yards of offense in the second half, gave ourselves a chance to win it, but the offense has sputtered. I thought the offense was great at Cal Poly, 21 points in the first quarter, scored touchdowns on our first 3 possessions, and I thought, wow, now this new offense is starting to click. We took a step back last week. It's the offense that I think the most pressure is on today. The team has got to find some offense. North Dakota State's going to score some points, but I think our defense will be good. It's just whether our offense can get it done today.
Real quickly, I want to ask you, NDSU has been outstanding against the run. I mean, Bailey has been outstanding as an athletic quarterback, but do you go with Sawyer in this situation because of their dominance against the run?
I think you're going to see Sawyer Cole-Morgan some today. I think he's a guy that he's played here before. 2 years ago, nearly got out of here with a win against a really good North Dakota State team that ended up winning the title, gave up 13 points in the fourth quarter that allowed North Dakota State to win that game, or 14, 2 touchdowns. I wouldn't be surprised if Sawyer Cole-Morgan sees the field a lot today. But Aaron Bailey will too, just because of his running ability. A concern is that you guys are so good against the rush, and that's kind of Bailey's forte, where Cole-Morgan's the better passer. So you're probably going to see both those guys today, but don't be surprised if that fifth-year senior sees the field a lot today.
Well, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it. Good luck to yourself today. Guys, back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Beth. And let's bring in 2 more members of our pregame show, the guys who will be on the call today with what they think UNI has to do to win this game.
Thanks so much, guys. Brian Shawn and Lee Timmerman with you as we talk about some of the keys for Northern Iowa taking on North Dakota State today. And a big one, LT, for Northern Iowa today is going to be in the front 7. They really got to find a way to plug up in the run game, which was a little bit of a struggle last weekend at Illinois State.
Yeah, Illinois State has a relatively young offensive line, and the thing that surprised me most of watching that game is just with the ease at which the Redbirds were able to get a really good push against the front 4 especially. And if that happens today, I think they could be in for a long day, because we know how physical the Bison can be up front.
The secondary is certainly very good for Northern Iowa. Offensively, they've been pretty dynamic with this no-huddle look, something that we have not seen out of Northern Iowa in the past. And that's new for North Dakota State to get used to as well.
It's different, but it's not a hurry-up like Montana wanted to run as many plays as possible. Not quite the case. It is a no-huddle, but it's not really fast-paced all the time.
All right, should be a good matchup, guys. Back to you in the studio.
Ryan and Lee, thank you very much. Again, they will be calling the game today. I think, DJ, the big question today is which UNI team is going to show up. You see here they're 2-2. You know, Iowa State, many people thought they were going to win that game. Eastern Washington was a ginormous win for this program. Then Montana got beat by Cal Poly. At Montana, they go out and beat up Cal Poly. and then lose to Illinois State.
That's a tough 4 games, and then coming in to the Dome to play the Bison. So I'm looking forward to seeing, like he said, which Northern Iowa team's going to come. I mean, Northern Iowa has the athletes, both on offense and defense, to play with the Bison. With this new offense, it's a running offense. Can they pass the ball enough?
I want to share with you a couple of national rankings as well, and DJ, you can share it with us what you think you and I must do to win. But this really jumped out to me as I was going and doing my homework and research this week. Rushing offense, Northern Iowa 41st. Rushing defense for NDSU, 1st in the nation. Total offense, 62nd. Total defense, 4th. We've talked about this many times before, DJ, against Code Green. Kind of hard to win football games when you can't put points on the board.
Yeah, I think Northern Iowa, you're going to see they're going to have to bring many guys up, try to blitz the Bison. Northern Iowa has some studs at corner. They got DBs that are going to come up and press like Montana was able to do. Can they get enough guys up there to stop the run, maybe with blitzing, try to get NDSU into doing stuff that they're not used to doing?
As we all know, Carson Wentz has not thrown an INT the entire season, 10 touchdown passes, although UNI in the last 3 games does have at least 1 pick per game. Stay with us. Much more coming up here on the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show. Great package about Jamar Kane, the defensive end coach. Many people say this is the gentleman that has Code Green on point right now. Stay with us.
Welcome back inside the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show. It's time now for our Sanford Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Injury Report. Let's go out to the Dome with Beth. Beth?
Here with your Sanford Orthopedic Sports Medicine Injury Report, I'm joined once again by Dr. Bruce Pyatt. Thanks so much for joining us. You know, every week we talk about players that are injured throughout the week, and then we see a great performance on Saturday. Is this like the old days, or are we still shooting guys with different stuff to get these big performances? What's going on?
Well, I am the old timer, but we've been forced to kind of come into today's day and age. Those days are long gone. You know, there's a lot of things we look at how we get an athlete out on the field and get them prepared to play. You know, a lot of what you see is an injury that occurs a week ago. That initial response is the first few days, and so that's when they're going to look the worst, and so we're not going to really know how that individual is going to respond, and we'll do some things initially that work on reducing the inflammatory response. So right away we're doing things where we're resting them, we're using a lot of ice or cold treatments, we're using compression treatments to get the swelling out of there, we're gaining the motion back in whatever joint's been affected, and then we start to build the strength back with it. And so as it comes to game day, for them to be back on the field with an injury, if it's something we don't think they're going to cause further damage to their body, then we use the criteria. They've got to have full range of motion, they have to have full strength, and they have to be able to go through a normal event without any assistance. And if they can do that, then we're going to let them participate and play. At the same time, we've got to be sure that just mentally they're ready for it too, because that's a big component of healing. They've got to not have that fear that they're going to be protective of their joint. Now, the old days when you say shooting them, you know, there are times where an injection may be possible. It's a very, very small number of situations where we might think about that. But there are some things like a shoulder separation where we're not very concerned about a further injury or a life-threatening or limb-threatening kind of problem with it, where they can go through workouts, do everything, it just hurts them, that we might give them a little injection just to get them through that aspect of the game so they don't hurt.
And how important is it to coordinate with Bobby and the trainers just in terms of continuing to treat and keep an eye on those things during the game?
Oh, we're constantly assessing it. So that any kid that we've kind of returned, if you watch Bobby, you watch myself, we're constantly in that kid's face every time he's coming off the field, checking with him, looking for kind of the non-verbal signs that something's going on with him, but also then questioning him and asking him and make sure he still feels good about it.
You said it a couple weeks ago. It's hard to trust the athlete in those situations. You guys are always hard at work. Thanks so much for joining us. It's been another Sanford Orthopedic Sports Medicine Injury Report. Guys, back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Beth. And here is the injury list. Chase Morlock, I think he'll be on this list for the rest of the season. He's had a nagging ankle injury dating back to the bye week. Lance Dunn is dealing with a hamstring issue, and Darius Shepard has a shoulder injury. However, there is some good news today. O-lineman Zach Johnson is expected to be back available for the Bison this week after suffering a foot injury a few weeks ago. Let's get you back out to the tailgate lot with Mike Morgan for our Northland Ford Dealers Tailgate Report. Mike, what do you have for us?
All right, thanks, guys. You know, what's happening over the last couple of times here for the home games is that people are getting here really early to make sure they have a spot, and one of which is my friend here, Lori. And Lori, tell me about your camping out here last night.
Well, we got here last night at about 4 o'clock. The line started at 5, and we hung out in the car all night.
Wow. Talk about dedicated Bison fan.
Oh, we sure are. Go Bison. It was a lot of fun. Actually, the whole line is actually well behaved. Everybody gets good night's sleep, and we're ready to go first thing in the morning.
And you were 6th in line?
Number 6.
And are you paid to do this by all these folks, or you just...
They owe me.
Because quite honestly, you're the reason they're here.
That's right. Exactly.
All right. Well, a great crowd and should be a great day here.
All right. Go Bison.
All right. Thanks, Lori. Yeah, everybody's fired up. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you very much, Mike. Looks like a ton of fun out there at the Fargo Dome. Hey, don't go away. We still have a ton more to come here on the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show. We're going to talk to next Jamar Cain, the guy, he's the defensive guru, one of the players called him. Don't go anywhere. We'll hear from him next.
There's a live shot at the Fargo Dome as we get ready for the matchup between number 2 NDSU and number 10 University of Northern Iowa Panthers. Should be a very, very physical football game. Welcome back to the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show. Well, Alex, all show long we've been talking about how good the Bison defense has been, and specifically the defensive line.
Yeah, it's been a difficult task for any quarterback to go up against Code Green, and a big reason is second-year defensive ends coach Jamar Cain. Beth Houle gives us this week's Inside Look.
Jamar Cain's job title says defensive ends coach, but his responsibilities reach much further than his position.
Coach Cain with the pass rush is amazing. It's kind of crazy how he figures all this stuff out. He's like a guru with it.
A former defensive coordinator and lineman coach at Wyoming, Cain joined the Bison staff when Chris Kleiman took over as head coach. With him, he's brought his tenacious approach to football and a major emphasis on the pass rush.
He's a guy that just knows a lot about the technique, you know, able to teach things that I never thought would go into the pass rush game. You know, just a simple getting your leg, you know, pushing your leg through something. All of a sudden it's like, oh, wow, I got a sack off of that play because of it.
He's a guy that works one-on-one with you. He's a very personal guy.
2014 was the year of Kyle Emanuel and Mike Hardy. The two tore apart offenses, and Emanuel earned himself a spot on the NFL draft board. He praises Coach Cain for taking his game to the next level, and the 2015 Bison are now all on board.
You see a kid like Kyle, you see a kid like Mike who was taught one way for 3 or 4 years, and they bought into your way. Now you can see the whole group turn it into your guys instead of somebody else's guys. So it feels definitely good, and I appreciate, you know, what Kyle did for us and what Mike did for us.
I think right now Coach Cain, he's proven. He's come here and done a great job, and those kids are, you know, I'm going to use a cliche, they're drinking the Kool-Aid right now. Whatever he says, we're doing it.
Over their last 3 games, the Bison defense has taken nearly 60 yards from their opponents on sacks alone, only further motivating Code Green to work with Coach Cain.
All those guys say, like, hey, how did you do that? How did you do that? Like, please just tell me. And they all just want more and more and more. So that feels really good. And at least it lets me know as a coach that I'm on the right path. I'm doing a good job. And we're in this thing to help people. So I just want to help those guys get as good as they can.
Defensive end linebacker or lineman, Coach Cain is working with the defense individually to become better as a unit.
I think this group can be really good as a group. You know, more in the past, you kind of had an individual here with the secondary guy. But as a group, I think we can be really good.
As a group, they are really good, and we've seen that the last 3 games. There's a live look out at the Fargo Dome. Stay with us. When we come back, we're going to get everybody's thoughts on today's game, plus our keys to the game, and then it's football time. Stay with us.
Straight wins inside this building. The Fargo Dome is loud this morning.
I think it's awesome. It's
shows total respect for NDSU.
We've got a full menu of college football this morning.
There's no way I'm going to miss this game.
Welcome to a brand new live edition of Sports Center with Sarah Walsh. I am Matt Berry. This is Sports Center on the road. We are live in Fargo.
Rowdy, it's early.
This rowdy bunch gets ready to witness the 95th homecoming game.
It just brings like the whole state together, and just everybody's super excited. Like me and my sister came and we're like planning all week.
I'm expecting to be rowdy, but I love when team more rowdy than you expect.
Just gets you fired up seeing that ESPN Sports Center on the road. There was a shot, obviously, of Brian Shawn and Lee Timmerman at the Dome. Welcome back to the Farmers Union Insurance Bison football pregame show. DJ Coulter, Alex Deacon, we are now going to walk you up to game time, roughly 11 minutes away. Let's take you back out to the Fargo Dome and find out the keys to the game from Brian Shawn and Lee Timmerman. All right, well, let's see if we can get those guys. But in the meantime, obviously, I don't know if you saw the Sports Center thing, guys, but earlier in the week, Matt Larson talked about, look, anytime you're inside 125 million homes, it's a great thing. And I got to tell you, ESPN did an outstanding job today highlighting the NDSU program, the dynasty, and even the great state of North Dakota. DJ?
All exposure is great for your program. And you saw in there they had Marcus Williams come back, who's playing great for the Jets right now. And you start building on tradition. People just love that. They just eat that up.
I thought it was great to see, you know, all the Bison faithful get out there. Yeah, it was bright and early, 6 a.m., but it was 7 a.m. on the East Coast, and there's a ton of people that are watching football at this hour, you know, getting themselves ready for college game day. This program led into college game day. So any exposure that you get, and I know Chris Kleiman was on there, Marcus Williams was on there. They did a fantastic piece on Jedry Sear. So it was a great time, and I hope ESPN recognizes how much Fargo loves ESPN coming here, and the school loves ESPN coming here.
And the thing I'm excited, we talked a moment ago here about the dynasty of NDSU. When you've got a pro football player coming back and saying, hey, I love this program, this place is amazing. The statement that says to kids in Florida, Oklahoma, Texas, New York, I mean, all those places now when Coach Kleiman picks up the phone, hey, this is Coach Chris Kleiman from NDSU, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, Coach, what do you need? How can I come play for you? All right, now we've got our guys, Brian Shawn and Lee Timmerman. Let's get their keys to the game from the Fargo Dome.
Thanks so much, guys. Brian Shawn joined by Lee Timmerman. We'll have the call coming up here in just about 15 minutes from now as North Dakota State gets set to take on Northern Iowa and LT. When these two teams get together, it's a violent game. It is flat out violent. It's physical. And North Dakota State has a lot to prove after kind of getting it handed to them last year in Cedar Falls.
I certainly think so. And one of the people who won't publicly say anything about it, but you know it has to be back there, great anonymous Carson Wentz. Carson was hurt in that game, but it was probably the poorest game that he's played as a quarterback here, so you know that after not scoring a touchdown last year and all those types of dynamics that came within that contest against the Panthers that ended the 33-game winning streak and all that, you know Wentz wants to play much, much better today.
Defensively for North Dakota State, they played pretty well in that game last year against Northern Iowa. And this team started off a little bit slow at Montana, but in the last 3 games, they've given up only a touchdown a game. Pretty remarkable what this team is doing right now, and certainly playing hot football, going against a UNI offense that struggled at times.
We're starting to see the NDSU championship type of defense emerge, and it's really kind of fun to watch that blossom. Nate Tangway has been outstanding. C.J. Smith, those two guys really kind of anchor their position groups, and of course Nick DeLucas still continues to tackle everything in sight. So as long as you have that mix of those 3 guys all doing what they need to do, that defense is not only good now, it's going to get a lot better.
On the offensive line, the Bison have been nicked up the last few weeks. Zach Johnson has missed time. Jack Plankers has missed time. And the 2 are back now and should both play today. So that should be very important for North Dakota State in terms of a depth on the offensive line. Guys, back to you.
All right, thank you very much, guys. Let's get into my keys to the game, and I have 3 of them. First one, get the ball, keep the ball. NDSU is dominating in time of possession, average time of possession, with over 15 minutes more than their opponents. It's a big help to the defense when the offense has the ball. My second one, capitalize on turnovers. NDSU has 0 points off of turnovers this year. That trend is going to have to change if they want to keep winning football games. You can't get lucky that much and not capitalize on turnovers. And my final one, stay the course. Hey, what you've been doing the past 3 weeks has worked, so might as well keep on doing what you're doing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, I think we have Beth out at the Fargo Dome. Let's get her thoughts on today's game. Beth, what do you have?
Hey, you know what, you guys? I'm going to keep this pretty simple for you, pretty short and sweet, because I don't think this NDSU defense is going to have much of a problem with Northern Iowa today. What it's going to come down to is how well the Bison can create that run game. King Fraser's going to have a lot on his plate. Chase Morlock out here warming up. He looked determined, but what he's going to be able to do, you'll have to wait and see on that one. They're going to have to be able to establish that run game, though, so that they can open up that passing game and take it to some of the best corners in all of college football. Chris, DJ, what do you guys think?
Beth, thank you so much. Let's get obviously to DJ's keys to the game. DJ, what do you have for us, sir?
Well, we know that this is a revenge game. This is a battle. I mean, this is what we all been waiting for. Is NDSU going to let Northern Iowa come in here and do anything in their home in their time? You know, you don't want to be Panther bait. What I meant by that is that, you know, sometimes you and I plays a little undisciplined. And you don't want to fall for that and get some unsportsmanlike or get into that. I mean, this is a battle. These coaches know each other. They recruit against each other. Don't fall for that. Also, can North Dakota State's wide receivers get separation on NIU's great DBs? DeAndre Hall is an NFL kid at corner. Can they do anything against him?
DJ, great stuff. We are 5 minutes and 35 seconds away from game time. We're going to be walking you right up to that. Now I want to get to my keys to the game. I've got just two of them this week. Number one is hang on to the football. We've seen the past few games, NDSU's been putting the football on the turf way too much. Coach Polisek obviously not happy about that whatsoever. Also, you just heard Brian Shawn talk about, hey, this is always a violent football game against UNI. Rumor has it this week in the locker room, Coach Kleinman's been playing the little Olivia Newton-John. Let's get physical, because that's the way this game's going to be today. You didn't like that one, DJ?
That's great.
It's time to get physical. This thing is going to be a boxing match, a street fight, and I am amped, obviously, to watch what's going to happen. All right, it's time now to find out who needs to step up for the NDSU football team today, obviously, to ensure a win. Alex, what do you have for us?
All right, thanks, Chris. I'm not going to get that song out of my head. Time now for our Bobcat heavy lifting report. Today, we've chosen junior running back King Fraser. With Chase Morlock and Lance Dunn hampered by injuries, typically the Bison backfield has a litany of options, but the spotlight could be shining brightly on King today, so he is our Bobcat heavy lifting report player. Guys?
I want to get your thoughts on this. I mean, obviously, King Fraser, you know, we need to establish a running game. You talked a lot about the DBs for UNI. Establishing that running game could really open things up for Carson.
Yeah, if NDSU gets running the ball, remember, the strength of this Northern Iowa team is their defense. So if you can keep that defense on the field the whole game, by the end of that third quarter, beginning of the fourth, watch the Bison offenses start putting up more points, wearing them down. This could be a real close game by halftime, everyone out there. UNI has a great defense, but we'll see if they can do enough on the offense to keep the ball enough to get anything going.
Let's talk about some offense here and some quarterback comparisons. Earlier this morning, again, ESPN Sports Center on the road was live at the Fargo Dome. Mel Kiper Jr. was there. He's got Carson Wentz ranked at a second or third round pick. We're going to start with UNI guys. Aaron Bailey, transfer from University of Illinois. Kid loves to run, not so good with the pass. You can see his completion percentage there, 54.1%. The big thing that jumps out to me, 3 INTs. Now let's go on to Mr. Cole Morgan. He actually a couple years ago almost pulled off a win inside the Fargo Dome. If we can bring him up, please, Sawyer Cole Morgan. He almost pulled off a win a couple of years ago inside the Fargo Dome. Fifth-year senior, has got some experience. I think we all know that you bring a new guy into the Dome, it is tough for a quarterback to perform. And then, of course, we've got Carson Wentz as well. The big stat that jumps out is 0 INTs in 4 football games. I mentioned earlier in the show, University of Northern Iowa, past 3 games has got at least 1 pick. Can Carson Wentz keep that going today? And again, Mel Kiper Jr. predicts him to be a second or third round pick this year. Alex, your final thoughts on today's game?
No, I think if we can, let's take a full screen of the dome there. I think the tunnel walk's getting ready to go around there. But I think, honestly, this is going to be a lopsided game. I think it's going to be all NDSU. I don't think Northern Iowa can match. I don't think their offense is good enough to compete with this NDSU defense. So I have this one at a 3-score game. You know, it was 28-7 last week. I like that score again. Let's call it 28-10 NDSU. DJ?
I'm going to flip it. Last year, NDSU got, you know, manhandled down there last year, 23-3. I'm going to flip it the other way. I'm going Bison 23-3. Remember, Northern Iowa has the athletes to compete with NDSU. Do they have the discipline, and can they coach with the Bison coaches? Remember, the Bison coaches are talented, special. They know their stuff. They've outcoached a lot of programs over the years. Don't forget, guys, Northern Iowa is 4-3 ahead of NDSU in the conference rivalry. They are a true rival. Looking forward to this game.
It is a true rivalry, but again, this is also a redemption game. I talked about this earlier in the show. Carson Wentz probably did not sleep this week because he's been watching so much game film going, hey, here's what I'm going to do to obviously exploit this defense. One of the key things to note, NDSU defense, #1 in the nation when it comes to rush defense. They're going to force these quarterbacks to try to beat them through the air. And from what I've seen so far this year, unless he plays like Aaron Bailey, like he did against Cal Poly, I do not see that happening for UNI. I'm with you. I think it's a reversal of the scores. You're going to see NDSU put up 24, 27 points, and I believe they're going to keep UNI to a field goal, maybe even less from a redemption standpoint. Alex, a little bit shocked. I'm just telling you.
Here's why I'm shocked at why you say that. Chris, where did you attend college?
All right, let's get out to the dome right now because it's hard for me, but I'm telling you, this defense right now, they are going, wait a second, guys. We got stuffed last year, obviously, in the Unidome. We got to come out and play big today. Let's take you live out to the Fargo Dome. I guess we don't have a live shot right there, but we got just 30 seconds to go. Want to remind you, Brian Shawn doing your play-by-play, Lee Timmerman with the color. Should be a violent, physical football game. I'm excited to see what happens. To both you guys, great job today. Alex Egan, DJ Coulter, and I'm Chris Berg. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show. Let's walk you out to the Fargo Dome.